Let's get to Megan Casella this morning, talk more about the deadline coming up tonight. Morning, Megan.
Good morning, Carl, from the White House, where we are very much on the brink of this morning of a vast escalation of this war. Just in the last hour, as you guys have been talking about, the president making clear in that Truth Social post that he is holding firm to his 8 p.m. deadline tonight for Iran to make a deal. He wrote, quote, "A whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again. I don't want that to happen, but it probably will. However, now that we have complete and total regime change, where different, smarter, and less radicalized minds prevail, maybe something revolutionarily wonderful can happen. Who knows? We will find out tonight, one of the most important moments in the long and complex history of the world." And guys, some escalation may already be happening. A White House official confirming to me this morning that the U.S. struck military targets overnight on Karg Island, of course, that key oil exporting hub. And now, if the president follows through on his infrastructure threat, the Iranians have also said that they would ramp up their military actions in response. Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps saying overnight, according to Reuters, that if the U.S. crosses red lines, the response would be beyond the region. And at this point, it is not clear what sort of a deal is even possible. The president saying he wants to see the Strait of Hormuz reopened, the Iranians wanting to retain control, and they aren't interested in a temporary ceasefire. But all of that said, Vice President J.D. Vance in the last hour holding a press conference in Hungary, he says the Trump administration feels confident that it will get some sort of a response from the Iranians, whether positive or negative, he says, by the 8 p.m. deadline tonight. So suggesting there that there's at least some room left for negotiations to continue. Guys.
Meantime, Megan, at the presser yesterday, the president openly suggested going in, seizing the oil, and charging ourselves for the Hormuz passage, saying, why shouldn't we? We won. We'll charge the tolls. How did that get received?
Absolutely, that's right. He says that why should the Iranians be charging tolls? When he was asked about that possibility, he says the U.S. should be the ones to do it. He also did say that he wanted to go in and seize the oil. And interestingly, he said if it were up to me, that's what he would do, is go in and seize Iran's oil. But he said, unfortunately, Americans want to see us come home. So suggesting there that while oftentimes he says everything is up to him as commander-in-chief, he also suggested that he's responsive to the polling that shows this isn't the most popular war, and that might be what's holding him back from trying to take that sort of a step.
Megan, Jim, when do we hear from the president that China's been the big backer and they provided a massive amount of money for terrorism and they also bought all the oil and so far free ride from what I can tell?
That's the reporting this morning, that's part of the reason the president is increasingly considering this idea of going in to seize the oil, because he wants to cut off some of the funding that's going on to China. Not clear, of course, how that would work militarily, whether the U.S. could pull it off or whether anyone is deeply considering that. But that would be the reasoning, according to some of this reporting from Bloomberg and others, of why the U.S. or the president at least would want to take that step to try to cut off China and limit some of the money that they're getting as a result.